In this video, we'll start using RapidMiner to implement the solution steps stated earlier, particularly data preprocessing, handling missing value, and visualization. So the very first thing to do is to create a repository. So I'll just name the repository retail noodle. Now click on finish. For the repository, I'll try to create two subfolders, one for data and one for process. Okay, so we have that. I can now bring in my data. It's right there on the desktop. Okay, so we have the data. I'll click on next. Make sure I click this, and then click on next. I put it inside the data folder and finish. So I can now click on statistics to be able to see what's going on with the data. So I have about 10,000 rows, right here. And under this missing, we can see the data that has missing value. So the next thing to do now is to just note those ones and decide how to handle the missing value. So if you look at the missing value, it's quite a lot. So we cannot delete the rows. So we cannot just say filter missing values. We cannot use filter missing value operator to handle them. We need to, do other, make other optimal decisions like replacing with average, maximum, and so on and so forth. So for this one, I'll just quickly go to the PowerPoint so that I explain the decisions that we are going to be making on them. For example, for brand, we found that we have about 93 missing, order 170, product class 93, and so on. So we are just going to be replacing these missing values with the average. And then we have a data attribute there. Yes, that's it has a lot of categories. So we'll probably just ignore this one. We'll exclude it. We'll not pick it up. We don't need it. So there are still other ones that are not useful there, like the ID and so on and so forth. So when we are selecting our attributes, we know which attributes to pick and we know which ones not to pick. But we can even actually handle this even before it gets to the stage of using it. So, but anyhow, what we want to do is we want to make sure that those attributes that are not, going to be used are excluded. So back to the RapidMiner. Now we have an idea of what is going on with the statistics. Let's now use our missing value, handle missing value operator to be able to take care of that. So to do that, I'll go to the design and bring in the data right here and replace missing value operator. Okay, so replace missing value operator. And I'm going to click on this and set the parameters. So it's not all the attributes. We have some, so I'll select subset. And then I have opportunity of selecting which ones exactly. So we are selecting the age. We are selecting the brand. Even if we get to select those ones that it doesn't have missing, it just leaves it as it were. So we are selecting the brand. We are selecting online order. We are selecting product class. Those are the ones that we suspect from the statistics that we're able to discover actually that has missing value, and then the tenure. Product size too. I think it has missing value. Okay, so these are the ones that we want to apply the handle missing value operator to. So the next thing that I want to do now is to see the results. Okay, so we can run this. Okay, we click on this. So this is the output that we are looking for. If we scroll down, we'll be able to see that there are no missing values there, and we still have 10,000 rows anyway, and most of the missing values are being replaced with the average. So it's only maybe for the columns that we didn't select, and we probably will not be needing those columns. Like if you look at this now, you can see that there's a missing value under DOB, but we didn't select it because we are still going to exclude that column. We don't need it for the clustering assignment. So missing values have been taken care of for the ones that we suspected have missing value. We can check statistics. So if you look at the statistics, at least for the attributes that we're going to be needing, brand, order line, you can see there's just 00 there. The product class, product size, they've all been taken care of. There are no missing values anymore. So the next step is to try and visualize this data and see what is going on. At least the attributes that we're going to be using, that's the numeric attributes and so on. So now to visualize, this is the output that we have, this is the statistics. We can just go straight to the visualization tab. Remember that when we are visualizing, we have a goal in mind. So there are different kinds of visualization for different data analysis techniques. So because this is clustering, our visualization is particularly towards examining outliers. We don't want to use variables that have outliers. So we'll examine outlier by checking scatter plots of all integer variables. That's tenure, age, purchase, in the past 3 years, and so on. So we note that all categorical variables have maximum of 6 categories and no more missing values. So for the job title that still has a lot of categories, we're going to eliminate it. We will not use it for our clustering assignment. Then the next thing is from the results, we want to be able to now, if there's anyone that has outlier, probably want to deal with that outlier or not use the attributes. But I think the best option is actually to deal with the outlier if we're still interested in the attributes. So like we said, for numerical variables like tenure, okay, we can actually do a scatter plot of all the integer variables. So that's just what we are going to do. Let's look at tenure. I'll just pick examples. We can even use box plot also to find the whether there are outliers. So I'm going to pick tenure. Okay. Then I'm not grouping by brand. I don't want to group by anything. So it just gives me the box plot visualization for the tenure. So this is what we're interested in. Like we said when we're trying to explain this chart in the third module, that there's a way to discover whether, so if we have some points here and all that, that means that there are outliers. So this looks fairly good. There are no outliers because the goal for visualization for this clustering is to be able to discover whether the numerical variables have outliers. So let's try some other numerical variable. Let's see. Okay, so it has given us the idea of, because once you put a box plot, it knows that it's numerical variables that you can explore. So it has given us the numerical variables, so you might just want to check it out. All this product ID, product, we probably should have even excluded them before we brought them to this stage. But even if it's still here, all we have to do is we don't select it when we want to use it for our clustering. So there are other ones, numerical ones. I'll just return this tenure. So we can see what that one looks like. Here we can see that this one does not also have outliers. So some of the variables, the numerical variables, that are looking good. So, well, as a form of assignment, you want to try all the other numerical variables and see what's going on there. So for the let's try and see scatter plots too for this particular numerical attribute. So I'm just going to click on scatter. So I don't want by brand. So this is going to be no. Okay. So I just want for the, so we can see that there is really no attribute, there's really no value in this particular numerical attribute that is outside or that indicates outlier like we explained in module 3. So another very good, because we have been looking at numerical variables, let's try to visualize the categorical variable. So for the categorical variable, I'm going to use bar chart. So we use bar charts to visualize categorical variable, and then we make sure that what we are trying to predict, okay, it's is involved in doing that. So now I'm going to pick the bar chart, okay. So what exactly, this is numerical, I'm going to change, okay. So I'm trying to look for a categorical variable like brand. So I'm going to so I want this to give me, I've grouped by brand, just that category. So these are the Golden Penny, Honeywell, Dangote, those are the categories under brand. But I want the bars to indicate the number of records. So let me look for that. So we have that, and we can see that this is generated automatically for us by RapidMiner. Okay, so this is where we are actually going. So we have our brand right here, and we have the count, that's the number of records. So this helps us to have an idea of how this particular categorical variable is being. So we can see that there is no one that has a small one, and then and maybe another one that has too many values, and then they are not balanced. So we can see that averagely they all have some representations, that's the categories in this brand. So that's how you're supposed to pick all the categorical variables and explore them. So the reason why we are doing this bar chart exploration for this categorical variable is I want to see which particular being has, maybe it doesn't have enough value. So we see if we want to merge maybe like 2-3 categories together to be able to give us a better result in our clustering and all that. So that's what we are doing that for. But for this, we can see that they all fairly have representations. So for brand, we are good to go. So you can explore for other categorical variables. So as a form of practice, so let me just go back to the PowerPoint. So I'm trying to make the slideshow. Just a minute. Okay, so I have the slideshow. So right now, from those attributes that we have, we are trying to make some decisions. So this is a guide for you. So you, at this point, you have to try and do this exercise using this guide. All the attributes they are in black color, and then the ones in red color will guide you as to what to do, particularly when you want to visualize each of these attributes. So you want to check for the bar charts. So for the brand, you want to use the bar chart because the categorical variable to check whether the bins are correct. So for these country attributes, it's not relevant for clustering. So we're not going to be selecting when we want to do our clustering. Customer ID not relevant, date of birth not relevant. We don't use this kind of attributes for our analysis. Then for the gender, we use the bar chart to explore that because it's categorical. For the income class, the bar chart, and then so on and so on and so forth. So for example, this one now, it's suggested that you explore them using both scatter plots and box plots because those two visualization tools will help you to discover outlier, which is why we are visualizing for this clustering. So in the next video, we will discuss the conclusions from this visualization process. So I'm hoping that before you take the next video, you'd have tried this exercise.